First Baptist Church of Austin, Texas is a strikingly modern structure. Built in the late 1960s, it is in many ways a product of the sweeping liturgical renewal that was so evident in post-Vatican II church architecture and design. In its chancel are prominent the three main liturgical centers common to almost all worship spaces today: table, font, and ambo, a word that comes from the Greek meaning both. It's the same root we get the word ambidextrous from. It's a place where both the scripture is read and the good news is preached. This very structure from which I'm speaking this morning is an ambo, whether you knew it or not. First Baptist, like so many churches, also prominently displays a cross. Theirs is suspended in midair above the chancel. As far as Baptist churches go, and I should say that First Baptist is a member of the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship of Churches. That's the Jimmy Carter Baptist, as I explained to some people. As far as Baptist churches go, First Baptist of Austin is fairly high church. The pastor wears a preaching gown each week with a stole that coordinates with the color of the season of the church year. And there are also hangings and other indicators marking time as it is observed according to the liturgical calendar. Having worshipped there a number of times, I can say that it's a space that would not feel foreign to our Episcopal liturgical sensibilities. So why, you wonder, have I spent so much time telling you about a worship space from another denomination that is located over 1,000 miles from where we gather to worship God this morning? If I could show you a picture, you would instantly note the relevance. For behind the chancel at the First Baptist Church of Austin, Texas, behind the table and behind that cross that is suspended from the ceiling, behind all of this and stretching from floor to ceiling, at least 30 feet high as it were, are a series of large fishing nets. These nets have been there since the building opened in the late 1960s. There are a number of them, at least 10 or so, and they're stretched taut, so they overlap and create additional geometric patterns at the point of intersection. They are not decorative interpretations, they are actual fishing nets, as I am told, procured from real fishing boats off the Texas coast. And so it is in that room, with that cross, and with that table, and that font, and that ambo, and those nets, that Christians have been formed for ministry for several generations now. And while some of that symbolism may be lost on those that worship there, surely on days like this, when our gospel is so tied up, if you'll pardon the pun, with the imagery of fishing, those nets must bear a sacred story for God's people that we can only hope to borrow here in this place as well. Jesus was looking for a place to proclaim the good news, and his stage, nor platform, pulpit, nor ambo was available. And as the crowd had become so large that they were pressing in on him, he borrowed Simon's boat and asked him to set him out a short distance so that he could preach to the throng that had gathered on the shore. As he finished, he compelled Simon to push out further with the boat, out into the deep water, presumably where Simon had just returned from after fishing all night, to no avail. The nets they had been cleaning, you see, were empty when Jesus found them. Simon, being no wet fish himself, had no problem letting Jesus know that he believed this action to be futile. And yet he acquiesced. In the nets went, and up with fish the nets filled, so full that they were stretched taut to the point of beginning to break. Reinforcements needed to be called in along with the other boat, and summoned they were in the form of James and John, sons of Zebedee. As the boats were filled to the brim, Simon sunk in contrition for not having faith in what Jesus asked of him. But instead of scolding him or admonishing him, Jesus gave Simon Peter and James and John a new mission. From now on, you will be catching people.